Of news about Liberia elsewhere. I'm Stephen Compton angering. In the headlines, National Legislature commences 2 days retreat to validate a consolidated report and set up groundwork for resumption of 2025 public hearing. Impinged former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Kabir Anjani, expresses regret for his support to the ruling Unity Party during the 2023 elections, says President Joseph Boyka and his cabinet are promoting a culture of lawlessness and institutional disrespect. And also coming up in the news, civil society group Solidarity and Trust for Neon Day sharply criticized the government of Liberia over alleged silence of negative environmental impact created by a Chinese and Iraq mining company in Marshall, Magibi County. Stands National Chairman Moba Molu assures residents of his uncompromising stance against the fortune international company. Away from home, more than 200 gunmen on motorbike have attacked a Niger army base near the border with Mali, leaving at least 34 soldiers dead, the country's defense ministry said. Details of these developments, the news bulletin, and the voices of the newsmakers are all packaged. We are taking a very short break. When we come back, we'll bring you the full bulletin of news. Welcome back and thanks for rejoining us. Up next is the Bulletin of News with Sam Andrews.
The Joint Public Accounts Audit and Expenditure Committee of the 55th Legislature Friday convened a 2-day retreat at Farmington Hotel. The retreat is aimed at validating consolidated report and setting the groundwork for the resumption of the public hearings scheduled for 2025. The lawmakers, technical staff, and key institutional stakeholders, including the General Auditing Commission, are part of the exercise. Addressing the opening session, the chairman on Public Accounts Audit and Expenditure Committee, Representative Clarence Garr, stressed the constitutional and statutory underpinnings of the committee's work, citing Section 4 of the General Auditing Commission Act of 2024. The section, according to Representative Garr, mandates that audit reports submitted by the Auditor General be reviewed by the legislature, ensuring transparency and oversight in public financial management. Also speaking alongside the chairman, co-chair Senator Amara Conan noted that after validation of the consolidated report by the committee secretariat from both houses of the legislature will move to plenary for endorsement. Former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia, Kabir Anjani, says he regrets supporting Unity Party during the 2023 general and presidential election. Speaking to journalists in Monrovia, Councillor Janin, a vocal supporter of Ambassador Boakai for the presidency, criticized the Liberian leader, denouncing what he described as a growing culture of lawlessness and constitutional disrespect under the current leadership. Following his impeachment from the Supreme Court bench during President George Weah's administration, the former Associate Justice, who saw Unity Party as the possible means of being reinstated or given another top government position, endorsed the party during the 2023 elections. Several supporters of Unity Party had considered his endorsement as a vantage for the Boakai campaign, particularly in legal and governance cycles mobilizing his ethnic group and political allies that were in solidarity with him. His recent statements represent a sharp break from that alliance and reflect growing dissatisfaction within the elite ranks over the administration's leadership style. The former justice did not miss his voice, accusing the unity party led government of eroding the rule of law and actively undermining the authority of Liberia's highest court. He noted the executive branch of government alleged interference in constitutional protected tenure positions is a direct assault on governance norms and legal safeguards. The solidarity and trust for New Day has assured residents of Bentown, Marshall Magibi County, that it is prepared to lead an advocacy to ensure Fasgo International Company addressed the negative environmental impact created as a result of its mining of rocks and sand in the area. Speaking during a mass meeting with residents of Bentown, Stand Chairman Molba Molu expressed disappointment over what he described as government officials' silence about an alarming environmental problem created by a company given license by the Ministry of Mines and Energy to mine sand and rocks. Speaking earlier, the town youth chairman, Dave Dobber, and Clarence Monoba, who is also community chairman, in separate remarks disclosed that about 10 people, including women and children, have died under unclear circumstances because of the pollution of the drinking water in the community. Though Monoba unveiled plans to stage protests against the company for environmental degradation in their community early next week because of the failure of the company and government to address the problems created by the mining of sand and rocks by the Chinese company. The daughter of ex-president Samuel Kayando has accused Grangeda County Senator Zoe Emmanuel Pennon of being involved in the killing of several prominent Liberians, including former Representative Madison Guion. Veronica Mamindo, who spoke in a podcast, described Senator Zoe Pennon as a devilish and evil man who is engaged in ritualistic killings in Grangeda County. According to her, Senator Zoe Pennon orchestrated the deaths of Madison Guion, former Grangeda District 1 Representative Alfred Donner, a magistrate of the National Elections Commission and a member of the Pennon's family. She noted that Senator Zoe Pennon, who is also a member of the Doe family, has deluded himself into believing he holds legitimate influence over the Doe's legacy, stating that the Grangeda senator does not possess the moral or intellectual capacity to understand that he is not the rightful heir to the Doe's family heritage. There have been various disagreements within the Doe's family following the death of former First Lady Nancy Doe. Veronica Doe also criticized Senator Zoe Pennon for allegedly using the family's name and history for personal and political gain, adding that his actions have caused divisions and confusion amongst the people in Grangeda County. According to her, she committed to preserving and defending the legacy of her late parents, particularly ex-President Samuel Doe, who was Liberia's head of state from 1980 until his assassination in 1990. The Press Union of Liberia President Julius Kanuba has announced a series of sweeping reforms aimed at revitalizing the organization and reinforcing journalistic integrity across the country. According to him, the PUL under its leadership will prioritize managing the union's role, promoting adherence to ethical journalism, and tackling financial burden inherited from previous leadership. Julius Kanubat said he remains focused on delivering the quality of governance to enable vibrant media community across Liberia. He reaffirmed the union's strong commitment to its legal obligations, particularly guarantee press freedom and the safety of journalists across Liberia. The Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission has concluded investigations into 4 major corruption cases involving several key government institutions. Speaking at a press conference Thursday, LACC Executive Chairperson Councillor Alexandra Zoe disclosed that the cases under review include the Liberia Telecommunication Authority, the National Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Commission, Liberia Refugee and Repatriation Commission, among others. Councillor Zoe emphasized that the investigations mark a critical step in the fight against corruption. She reaffirmed the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission commitment to maintaining accountability and transparency in public service. The LACC head, however, pointed out a key challenge hampering the Commission's efforts regarding legal constraints related to the jurisdiction of courts handling corruption cases. According to Councillor Alexandra Zoe, these limitations significantly affect the effectiveness of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission's work and require urgent and stress the need for proactive legal reforms. A 17-man delegation from the National Institute for Strategic Studies based in Abuja, Nigeria, Thursday paid a one-day study tour to Liberia National Commission on Arms in Monrovia. Speaking during a brief welcoming ceremony, the commissioner of the Liberia Commission on Arms, James Fomoya, termed the activities of non-state actors being in possession of arms as something that continue to impede national security and undermine development on the African continent. Mr. Fomoya added that sharing of intelligence of information among states and security officials will help curb the insecurity and subversive activities of non-state actors on the African continent. Also remarking, the head of delegation from the National Institute for Strategic Studies in Abuja, Nigeria, Vivian Okwe, said the visit was intended to share knowledge, exchange information, and share experiences in dealing with issues regarding non-state actors carrying arms on the African continent. The delegation was comprised of heads and deputy heads of departments in the armed forces, intelligence agencies, and security administrators from Ghana, Chad, Nigeria, and Somalia. The visit under the theme Non-State Actor in Security Management, Issues, Challenges, and Prospects for Peace is expected to take the delegation to a number of institutions of government and will end on June 22nd. The ambassador plenipotentiary and special envoy for trade and investment, Edward Yanti, has broken silence, publicly confirming that his nephew John Yanti, who is accused in the Capitol building fire incident, is a key figure in the ongoing arson case. During an interview on Spoon FM, Ambassador Yanti said he willingly handed over his nephew John Yanti to the Liberia National Police due to John's suspected role in the burning of the Capitol. According to him, his decision is rooted in accountability and his commitment to upholding Liberia's democratic values. Ambassador Yanti at the same time said, contrary to claims made by some members of the Yanti's family, the government did not offer John any deals or incentives in exchange for testimony against former Speaker Fonati Kofa and other accused lawmakers. He further called on the family to disengage from making public statements and allow the due process to take its course. About 3 institutions outside Monrovia have received huge quantities of food and sanitary pads through a partnership program under ECOWAS Volunteer Program, the ECOWAS National Office, and the West African Health Organization. Institutions that benefited from the food items and sanitation pads are ACFI School of Deaf and Dumb, the Sister Eye School, and Oscar and Viola Stewart Mission. Speaking during a presentation ceremony at the campus of ACFI Deaf and Dumb in Kebab in the township of Batnarsville, the deputy head of ECOWAS National Office, Amos Tuber, on behalf of Josephine Nkrumah, said the donation was the way of ECOWAS volunteer program celebrating the 50th anniversary of the founding of the West African Regional Organization. According to Tuber, ECOWAS is now moving from ECOWAS of states to ECOWAS of people in order to bring population in the region together. And the superintendent of Nanankru District for United Methodist Church, Reverend Brené Conto, has criticized a recent legislative proposal advocating for a Muslim holiday in Liberia. Recently, Bomi County Senator Edwin Snow, Grand Cape County Senator Amara Coney, and others submitted a proposed bill to the House of Senate calling for religious holiday. Reverend Compton described the initiative as misguided and politically motivated, noting that it lacks spiritual foundation and does not align with the core principles of Christianity or Islam. He argued that the introduction of a religious holiday does not contribute to the salvation of believers in either faith. The United Methodist pastor emphasized that faith should be expressed through sincere devotion, not through government-declared holidays. Reverend Compton also questioned the move behind the proposed legislation, suggesting that it may be driven more by political interest than genuine religious consideration. Reverend Branell Compton further argued members of the legislature need to focus on bills that prioritize national development and the welfare of the Liberian people, stressing the need for lawmakers to craft laws that unify the country rather than stir religious insensitivity.
Sam Andrews there with the news bulletin is a regular feature on King's News Broom. And in one of our top developments we are furthering this evening, impeached former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Kabina Janin, expresses regret for his support to the ruling United Party during the 2023 elections, says President Joseph Boakai and his cabinet are promoting a culture of lawlessness and institutional disrespect. We are taking a very short break. When we come back, we'll bring you voices of the newsmakers. Welcome back. Thanks for rejoining us. Let's now take our first development. The daughter of ex-President Samuel Kayando has accused Grangeda County Senator Zoe Emmanuel Pennon of being involved into the killing of several prominent Liberians, including former Representative Madison Goyen. Veronica Mamido, who spoke in a podcast, described Senator Pennon as a devilish and evil man who is engaged in to ritualistic killing in Grangeda County. According to her, Senator Pennon orchestrated the death of former Representative Madison Goyen, former Grangeda County District 1 Representative Alfred Duman, among other prominent Liberians.
With some things because clearly Your memory, your morals, your brain, your mouth, they're all fighting with each other, and none of them are winning. You are my father's nephew, not his brother, not his child, and definitely not his heir. But not even equal. You are from a generation after him, not even in the same generation. So this fantasy that you keep spreading about being head of the Doe family, do you honestly hear yourself? I mean, I know you might be telling yourself in the mirror. Surely you can't be telling people and they're there taking it in. They're just laughing at you. Because how can a Penu be over head of the Doe? In fact, let me remind you of something. Your own older brother, yes, the one you killed, Victor Penu, he was also older than you. He was more educated. He was kinder. We could converse with clear comprehension, unlike yourself. He was a decent human being, but that didn't stop you from turning him into your driver. I mean, you have so many opportunities. You could have given him something, but no, you want to be the head over everyone. So you oppress your brother before finally kill him. Look, I have been raised by a soldier, so I am a soldier. I have been trained by fire. Thanks to the fire you put me through, but it has made me stronger and has made me bolder. That seems to surround you and your household. Do you know the victims like Madison, Honorable Madison Guion, the magistrate Donna, Uncle Che Doe, and yes, even your own brother again? I draw my strength from heaven, Zoe Penu, and not from human sacrifice. I'm not in your society. You cannot report me to anyone in your demonic society. I don't partake of that. You can only report me to Jesus Christ, to God himself, whom I commune with. So I'm not afraid of you.
Former Liberian leader Samuel K. though Dr. Veronica Mamedo there speaking. The ambassador, sorry, the solidarity and trust for New Liberia has assured residents of Bentown in Masha, Magebe County, that it is prepared to lead an advocacy to ensure Fenshoot International Company addresses the negative environmental impact created as a result of its mining of rocks and sand in the area. For several weeks, residents of Bentown in Marshall have been complaining of destruction of their homes as a result of blasting of rocks and pollution of water due to large scales and mining from river by a Chinese company in the area. Speaking during a mass meeting with residents of Bentown, Stan's national chairman Moba Molud expressed disappointment over what he described as government officials' silence about an alarming environmental problem created by the company.
So we are here as an advocacy institution to stand with the people. If you'll be doing protests, whatever time, we will be there with you. We will stand with you all the way to the end. And when I say we'll be with you, don't think say we'll be with you morally. We will be with you in flesh and blood. You will see us in flesh and blood. Because let me tell you one thing. The people are excited, let them be happy. Let me tell you one thing that you may not know. We are interested in the activities that have been carried out that is doing damages to the people who live around the mining area. In this instance, a large community of thousands of people are said to be affected. Extent where they say at least 10 persons have lost their lives, and they believe that the loss of life is directly traced or linked to the activities of the mining company in the community, blasting rocks. And that has created two or several layers of problem for the community. There is a company operating in the community, and they are blasting rocks, and houses have been cracked. Women in the community are experiencing miscarriages because of this situation. It has become so acute and dangerous that it's time for government to be involved. Their homes are not just been cracked from the sound of the mining, but the environment is being polluted. There appears to be severe air pollution by experience and by research that is even causing a greater problem than just horses getting cracked.
The ambassador planning potential and special envelope for trade and investment Edward Yanti has broken silence, publicly confirming that his nephew, John Yanti, who is accused in the Capitol building fire incident, is a key figure in the ongoing arson case. During an interview on Spoon FM, Ambassador Yanti said he waited handed over his nephew, John Yanti, to the Liberia National Police due to Yanti's suspected role in the burning of the Capitol building. According to him, his decision is rooted in accountability and his commitment to upholding Liberia's democratic principles and values.
Caution my relatives to stop too much lying and stop creating all sort of fake stories because they're digging deeper grave. When John flew or fled Liberia and I came up to his aid to rescue and put him in a safe haven, not one of them did me a call. Nobody never called. Nobody ever sent any like a $5 or 1 penny for John. So why? So I tell her about his whereabouts. You understand? Oh, the other things you already put on. Go ahead. Because she was talking, she was trying to pick stuff that wasn't in the right position. She was putting things out of place. I knew she was recording. So when she asked me, she pretended like she came to call to congratulate me on my appointment and then later talked about John. To my utmost surprise, she asked me internal questions. So once again, I placed this call tonight just to caution my relatives to stop all that so-called press conferences they're doing, all that lies they're calling in, saying it should stop. Go down, my brother. In due time, you'll get the truth. Follow the truth. Like I said, in due time, you'll get the full story.
The Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission has concluded investigations into 4 major corruption cases involving several key government institutions. Speaking at a press conference Thursday, LACC Executive Chairperson Councillor Alexandra Zoe disclosed that the cases under review include the Liberia Telecommunication Authority, the National Water Sanitation and Hygiene Commission, the Liberia Refugee Repatriation and Resettlement Commission, among others. Councillor Zold emphasized that the investigation marked a critical step in national fight against corruption.
So, over the period, this presentation covers January to June 15, 2025. Over the period, LACC, the Monitoring Investigation Department, has recorded significant progress through the completion of 4 high-profile cases involving, number 1, the Liberia Telecommunication Authority. The second one is former officials of the National Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Commission, which is the WASH Commission. The third one is the investigation involving suspended officials of the Liberia Refugee Repatriation and Resettlement Commission, the LRRC, and the current official of the National Road Fund Authority, as well as former officials of the National Oil Company of Liberia. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that we have completed investigation into these allegations of corruption. And the next step now is we are working closely with the Ministry of Justice to draw up indictment and have the persons of interest to be brought under the jurisdiction of the court for prosecution. I want to say that these investigation underscores the government unwavering commitment to upholding public officials accountable, as well as restoring public trust in governance.
LCC Executive Chairperson Councillor Alexandra Zoe there speaking. And with the time check, we have an hour past the news presentation. This is the reminder that you are listening to the weekend edition of King's News Broom. 45 minutes of news about Liberia and elsewhere. We are taking a very short break. When we come back, we'll bring you more developments. Welcome back. Up to this next development, the president of Liberia, President Julius Kanumba, has announced a series of sweeping reforms aimed at revitalizing the organization and reinforcing journalistic integrity across the country. According to him, the PUL, under his leadership, will prioritize reimaging the union's role, promote adherence to ethical journalism, and tackle financial burden inherited from previous leadership. Julius Kanumba said that he remained focused on delivering the quality of governance to enable vibrant media community across Liberia.
A very short period of time to get the PUL. Some people have even been counting. They say you go on 1 year. I say, oh no, we've gone, yeah, we've gone 7 months. Yeah, so yes, we will from time to time speak on national issues. We need a coherent approach. That approach will be developed in the coming days and weeks, and then we move forward. So our mandate is a short-term mandate, but we believe in 2 years we can achieve a lot of the things that we did promise to the membership decides, right? Even if I say I want to recontest in 2027, and the membership says, oh yes, you have a right to recontest, but we don't want you. What do I do? Nothing, right? So to contest in an election, you will have to have a certain level of consensus amongst the membership, right? I contested the president elections in 2010, right? I was in the country, we did small work, and then I went to America, right? Requirements in terms of going for a second term, which is allowed under our constitution. And after a second term, specific position, you can never ever apply or contest that particular position. So yes, we still have the option, but we can only decide to contest or recontest when we shall have logically and critically analyzed what we've done at the union, and do we have a right to go back to the membership in the pew for the votes of Harris or Ishmael. By that time, I think Ishmael will be electable.
I'll ask you. Yes, and my next question was,
A 17-man delegation from the National Institute for Strategic Studies based in Abuja, Nigeria, on Thursday paid a one-day study tour to the Liberia National Commission on Arms in Monrovia. Speaking during a brief welcoming ceremony, the commissioner of the Liberia National Commission on Arms, Jane Framaya, termed the activities of non-state actors being in possession of arms as something that continue to impede national security and undermine development on the African continent.
It is an honor for me to welcome the 17-member team of the Executive Intelligence Management course of the National Institute for Strategic Studies NISS of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, along with distinguished ladies and gentlemen accompanying this delegation. This study tour under the theme, quote, Non-State Actors in Security Management, Issues, Challenges, and Prospects for Peace and Development in Liberia is timely and most appropriate for our country. As we may recall, non-state actors are managed to enter society in terms of the insecurity they pose. We see it all over. On experience, we see what's happening in Nigeria, Boko Haram. You go to Somalia, you find non-state actors there all over the place to undermine development and peace of our respective countries. The decade-plus experience we have with such non-state actors in Liberia indicate that no sound Liberian will ever wish for us to return to our ugly past. We at Linka believe that a study tour of this nature will enhance regional security. It is through intelligence sharing and cooperation among African countries that will enable us to combat non-state actors.
Also remarking, the head of the delegation from the National Institute for Strategic Studies in Abuja, Nigeria, Vivian Oakwood, said the visit was intended to share knowledge, exchange information, and share experiences in dealing with issues regarding non-state actors carrying arms on the African continent.
This group is made up of 12 participants of the Executive Intelligence Management course, EIMC, from the National Institute for Security Studies, Lower Osman Dam, Abuja, Nigeria. And the class is part of a 78 number of course participants for the entire EIMC 18 program. Other members of participants are visiting other African countries such as Egypt, Ghana, Gambia, Rwanda, and Tanzania. And Syndicate 5 is here in Liberia. The participants you see before you are made up are deputy directors or its equivalent from the armed forces, paramilitary, and other government agencies.
About 3 institutions outside Monrovia have received huge quantity of food and sanitary pads through a partnership program other the ECOWAS Volunteer Program, the ECOWAS National Office, and the West Africa Health Organization. Institutions that benefited from the food and items include ACFI School of the Deaf and Dumb, the Sister I School, and the Oscar Viola Stewart Mission. Speaking during a presentation ceremony at the campus of the ACFI Deaf and Dumb in Quebec in the township of Bonneville, the deputy head of the ECOWAS National Office, Amon Tubal, on behalf of Madam Josephine Crewman, said the donation is the weight of ECOWAS volunteer program celebrating the 50th anniversary of the founding of the West African Regional Organization.
On behalf of the Minister in charge of ECOWAS and the ECOWAS Commission and the EVP Coordinator and the ECOWAS Ambassador, it is our pleasure at this time to officially present these items to our beneficiaries. We show and we know that you're going to use it, and we believe that it's going to help you for some time, and then we pray that afterward God himself will provide that you always have your needs met to go along. So the EVP has been doing very well. Then ECOWAS now has changed. It used to be ECOWAS of states. State means country. Liberia, Guinea-Bissau, Togo, Ghana, Nigeria, Cape Verde, etc.
And now, ahead of the news presentation is our foreign development, but this development sets the pace. The superintendent of Nanakru District for the United Methodist Church, Reverend Branell Compton, has criticized recent legislative proposal advocating for a Muslim holiday in Liberia. Recently, Bombing County Senator Edwin Snow, Grand Cape Mount County Senator Amara Corning, and others submitted a proposed bill to the House of Senate calling for religious holiday among members of the Muslim faith. However, Reverend Branell has described the initiative as misguided and politically motivated, noting that it lacks spiritual foundation and does not align with the core present part of Christianity or the Muslim faith.
I, as an ordained person, ordained elder of the gospel, and the youngest district superintendent of the United Methodist Church, are strongly and 100% against that. Making a religious holiday has nothing to do with your personal life. The life you live speaks for the religious tone. Go in Douala Market on Sunday. 90% of those who are there are all Christians or religious people. Why do you think they don't go to service? On Friday, some of the Muslims will like their stores and go, while others are still there selling. Declaring a holiday has nothing to do with our religious life. Religious life is based on your own personal conviction, personal belief. So I see those three senators, I respect them, but that tone, that proposal was highly political.
And now away from home, more than 200 gunmen on motorbikes have been attacked by Niger army based near the border with Mali, leaving at least 34 soldiers dead, the country's defense ministry has said. The attacker, described by the ministry as missionaries, raided the base in the western town on Thursday, injuring 14 other soldiers. The ministry said that its forces killed dozens of terrorists in the battle. The Niger military is under pressure for failing to combat militant attack one of its depositing democratically elected president. This Thursday, June 19, a crowded and barbaric attack was carried out against the town, the ministry added. It noted that the troops were conducting such operation in a western town of the country. That's all from our foreign scene. And this is how we come to the end of today's edition of the news program. But before we take leave of you, here are top stories we close the follow. National legislature commences 2 days retreat to validate consolidated report and set up groundwork for resumption of the 2025 public hearings. Impeached former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Kabina Johnny expresses regret for his support to ruling unit the party during the 2023 elections. Says President Joseph Waika and his cabinet are promoting a culture of lawlessness and institutional disrespect. Civil society group Solidarity and Trust for New Day sharply criticized the government of Liberia over alleged silence of negative environmental impact created by a Chinese and Ragman Company in Marshall, Margibi County. Stand National Chairman Mobile Model shows residents of his uncompromising stance against the company, away from whom more than 200 gunmen on motorbikes have been attacked. Niger army base near the border with Mali, leaving at least 34 soldiers dead, the country's defense ministry has said. It's now like to say many thanks to our news writers, editors, for making today's news presentation a success. St. Andrews brought us the news bulletin. I'm Stephen Compton. Thanks for listening and watching.